Hey guys, welcome to this lesson, and we're going to be covering sanding. We have already pretty much sanded our ceiling. We're just finishing up a couple little things. You saw all the lines in the last video, and we're going over some of the tools. You're going to want to get yourself an angle sander or a pole sander of some sort, and then go over all of it. Here's a couple of little issues in our ceiling, which we're going to show you how to actually patch those. And then one thing that you're going to want is a light source when you're sanding, guys. So the most important thing to remember when sanding, it's very simple, but anything that you can see or feel is going to show when painted, all right? So go ahead, use your light, get it close to the ceiling, look down the ceiling, use your eyes, use your hands, touch it, and feel it. And make sure that there's absolutely nothing you can see or feel for a flat ceiling. If you're doing a textured ceiling, if you have small flaws, just little lines or little tiny like bumps, those are actually going to cover when you texture. So don't have to get it perfect. That's why we typically like to go with a textured ceiling when we're removing popcorn, just because you don't have to get it absolutely perfect, because it does take time to get there. So if you were going to be going with flat, this ceiling would get skimmed one more time. All right, guys, here we go. So just kind of a tip on sanding here. When you are running your sander, try not to just do it in one spot over and over and over. You want to kind of like fan it out, like circles or whatnot. You can use a pole sander for this as well, or even your power sander, but we're just trying to get out any kind of lines, any kind of flaws in the ceiling that you might see. And then here we have some like, if you kind of saw those, here we have some pucks, which happens because the air and water can't release, it can't go through your ceiling, so it comes back out and creates a bubble. So we're just going to knock those down nice and tight. And I'm just using a +3 on these guys. Same stuff we just skimmed with. We're just going to go over and pull it nice and tight. Try not to leave anything on the ceiling. Pull it tight so we don't see it. And then we'll be able to texture right over that. Again, if it's a flat ceiling, you don't need to do this. Just go ahead and re-skim the whole ceiling another time, nice and tight, to try to get it as smooth as possible, okay? Honestly, if you're a beginner and you end up having to sand and skim it one more time, that would be totally fine. It's not going to hurt, just a little bit more time, but at least you'll get the desired look that you're looking for. So, here we go. Yep, and we're just going to go through the ceiling and do that everywhere. Make sure that it's nice and smooth so that we wouldn't see anything, any holes underneath when we texture. So, and guys, that covers sanding. Here's a couple other things that we'd sanded and went over. We had some ceiling patches I had showed you in the last video. And again, just get up there, make sure you feel them, that there isn't any lines or ridges. And guys, sanding is super important. If you don't do a good job sanding, it's going to show. So go ahead, take your time, make sure everything's sanded down nice and smooth. And don't over sand either. I'll point that out, that you can actually sand it too much. So try just to sand it until it's flat. Once it's flat, just get off of it. Maybe you need to add more mud. You can always fix your mistakes. That's one of the great things about drywall. If you make a mistake, you can add more mud or even just sand it off. So thanks, guys. Go ahead, get your ceiling sanded, and I'll see you in the next lesson.